Here we go. New video. You've got this. And this one is about yourself. Sure. No problem. It'll still be valuable and interesting. And people are totally gonna be down to watch it. Yeah.
While on holiday in Australia reconnecting with my family for the first time since COVID, I had a lot of time to reflect on this last year, the year I gave YouTube my all. It wasn't my first year on the platform, rather my third go at it, but this was the time that I had prepared for, and the time I was going to do it for real. In September of 2020, while living off dwindling savings and pandemic stipends from the government, I created and published the first video in my return to YouTube. This is it. A slightly messy but honest account of my attempt to answer an age-old photography question. Does gear really matter? And if so, how much? Armed with a $60 camera I got off eBay, I wandered the Oregon coast searching for answers. From then on, I posted weekly for the next 5 months, throwing everything I had at my videos and attempting to find my voice.
Oh, my lens cap is on.
It was a pace that I couldn't keep up for long. Even though the videos were a bit rough around the edges, I put a lot of time and care into each of them. So much so that it was all I did. My days were populated with writing, pre-production, making shot lists, shooting, editing, and so were my nights. If it was the night before my self-imposed upload deadline, you could almost always catch me at the computer until the wee hours of the morning. Basically, I worked my ass off to make videos that nobody was watching and that didn't make me any money, all while bordering on broke. Super sound financial strategy. But I had faith. I knew that the most worthwhile things are usually the hardest, and I realized that if I wanted a chance, I was gonna have to take risks. Not reckless ones, but calculated ones. And I had a love of the craft. And through consistency of effort and experimentation, eventually I stumbled upon something. Right after posting this video talking about my experience of overwhelm in my life, I made this video called The Connection Between Minimalism and Van Life, and something clicked. It was honest, it was real, it felt like something uniquely my own, it felt like I had a voice. If you asked me what the one thing was that clicked, I couldn't tell you. I think it was maybe just that I had thrown enough stuff at the wall that I eventually found something of my own. Since then, things have gotten more complicated. I've had to prioritize freelance work to keep my head above water financially. I've struggled with some stubborn health issues. And though I had begun to find my voice and create the kind of videos I wanted to see, those videos gradually became more ambitious and more complex, which means so did my life. I made a lot of compromises along the way, especially when it came to my physical and mental well-being and my relationships. But those sacrifices allowed us recently to take this channel to over 10,000 subscribers. It still feels weird saying that. Thank you guys, like all of you, so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I don't even know what to say. It's validating in a way that is really empowering, and I want to create and just make the best stuff that I can for you. Now, this is by no means some sort of, pity me, my life is so hard and I've made so many sacrifices kind of video. And it's also not some sort of weird victory lap video, some premature victory lap video. I recognize that I'm extremely privileged to be here and to have been in a position where I could have ever pursued this path in the first place. And I don't take any of that for granted. However, while a lot of it is being fortunate, it certainly would have been impossible without the hard work and stubborn persistence. Growth is a process, and usually a really messy one. Now more so than ever that we live in this age of manicured internet profiles, it can be easy to overlook that. Now, I'm by no means a Peter McKinnon, a Matt Diavella, or a Marquez Brownlee with millions of subs and teams of creatives behind me, but I know that to some of you, I am but another seemingly fictitious person behind the screen all the time. You see the polished works that I've labored over and the way my life appears on the internet, and you think that that's the whole me and that I've somehow got it all figured out, but that is not the truth. Me, I struggle every day trying to figure out how I'm gonna get this next video out, how I'm gonna pay my bills, how I'm gonna get this client project done, or fix things on the van, or stay sane if Premiere crashes on me one more time. And how I'm simultaneously gonna do all of these things without completely compromising my relationships, my experience of life, and my health. It's a juggling act, and one that I fail at far more often than I succeed. Which leads us here, in light of the recent attention that this channel's gotten, a big part of me feels like I need to double down, make things that are more polished, more articulate, more valuable, I don't know, bigger, badder, better, sooner. I put a lot of pressure on myself to, make these polished, articulate videos. And I think a big part of that is that, I care deeply about the things I want to create and I'm afraid of underdoing them. But after a while of making nothing but heavily premeditated behemoth videos, you kind of start to paint yourself into a box a little bit. Like your subconscious goes, oh, this is how we do things now. And you begin to limit yourself creatively. I feel like now that I feel like there's this expectation of me now, and it made me more rigid in my creative risks that I was willing to take. And I felt like I was compromised and painted into a box and that I had pigeonholed myself. That's how it felt in the moment, but upon reflection and some distance from my work, I feel like what it really is the imposter syndrome and perfectionism. The banes of creatives everywhere. Being an artist means being constantly at odds with your insecurities, and so often we set ourselves up for failure before we even try. We set our expectations too high, compare ourselves to others too much, and fail to account for how messy the process is in real life. I'm guilty of this just as much as anybody else, maybe even a little bit more. I understand how difficult it can be to get beyond your self-devised mental confines. It feels like quicksand. When you're in it, it's stifling and daunting, and your risk aversion is heightened, but I think in reality, it's all an illusion. But to confront the adversary that is our self-imposed limitations and our old habits, what can we do? Well, I think we need to face them and do the one thing that they fear, something radically different. Maybe radically is not the right word. Maybe absurdly different, completely different, slightly different, comically different, just anything different, really. I don't really know if any of this is making any sense. I guess what I'm trying to extrapolate from my experience and share with you is that perfectionism is a crutch. It's an excuse that we use to prevent ourselves from trying, experimenting, and doing. And just like all of the imperfections here in my van that seemed like such a huge deal at the time of construction, when you step back and you look at them, disconnected, and look at them, in the grand scheme of everything that you've created, you realize that they are insignificant. So if I could, compress the ethos of everything I've learned on YouTube since September of last year before last, it's not really a year on YouTube, it's more than that. But if I could compress all of that into one little nugget to share with you, it would be done is better than perfect, and change begets creativity. So trust in the process and walk the path at your own pace, because as Lao Tzu said, nature does not rush, yet everything is accomplished. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me blab, and I'll see you next time. Bye.